3 weeks after the election, the fight is not over. Tonight, San Diegans took to the streets demanding action on causes from criminal justice reform and police brutality to immigration and the environment. Good evening, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Barbara Lee Edwards.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. The National Day of Action comes on the same day as a so-called Day of Disruption. Workers fighting for 15, a push to raise the minimum wage, joined protesters from other causes in tonight's rally and march.
CBS News 8's Richard Allen is live at City College with how everyone came together for tonight's event. Richard?
Well, Carlo and Barbara Lee, this protest tonight began at the federal courthouse, ending here at City College, energized by those earlier demonstrations throughout San Diego and throughout the nation today for that $15 hourly wage for all workers. But tonight's protest encompassed much more than just that one issue. Hundreds take to the streets of downtown San Diego Tuesday night. No justice, no peace. Representing a number of causes, from immigration to the environment to fair wages. With one unified call to action.
I think that having a voice and being heard is a lot better than keeping silent.
SDSU student Alicia Salinas chose to march to demand immigration reform in the face of an uncertain future.
I'm worried for my family that we're going to be ripped apart.
Others here to protest the Dakota pipeline and the irreparable environmental damage they say it will cause.
And I want to keep the water clean and the pipeline in the ground.
And these guys are just coming in, desecrating their sacred sites, going over their ancestors and their families' bones, and it's not right.
One of the most vocal contingents of Tuesday's Justice Can't Wait rally.
We are not going away. We are not backing down.
The national call for workers' rights, including an immediate wage raise to $15 an hour.
Workers deserve $15 an hour right now.
Just as passionate, the call for racial justice, including the Black Lives Matter movement. As the family of Alfred Alongo, the unarmed black man killed by El Cajon police in September, is now calling on the U.S. Attorney General to open an investigation into their loved one's death.
We need federal light on this, and as this administration comes in, we're going to press Donald Trump and the Civil Rights Division of the Attorney General's office. We will not tolerate police killings in this country.
Now, tonight's rally also included a number of housing rights and environmental groups, as well as members of the LGBT community. San Diego police report that no arrests were made. Barbara Lee.
Le saluda Carlos Sánchez. Cientos recorrieron las calles de San Diego protestando diversas causas sobre justicia social y medio ambiente. Para muchos preocupa el que la nueva administración federal dé pasos atrás en cuanto a luchas y acuerdos que llevan años intentando realizar. Pasamos con Marco Serrano, quien nos tiene más desde el centro de San Diego. Marco, adelante, buenas noches.
¿Qué tal? Buenas noches. Diversos grupos son los que se reunieron durante este día de actividades, culminando en esta marcha por las calles de San Diego. El eslogan: la justicia no puede esperar. La escena, la cual se vuelve cada vez más común, se repite. Se trata de cientos armados con pancartas y su voz, tomando de nuevo las calles para expresar sus preocupaciones e intentar intervenir por causas importantes para ellos. El esfuerzo se dio en diversas ciudades del país. La convocatoria general realizada por grupos a favor de un incremento al salario mínimo. California en el 2022 alcanzará los $15 la hora, pero hay quienes dicen necesitan el aumento ya.
Entonces, con ese mínimo que nos dan realmente no alcanza. Entonces necesitamos hacer unión, equipo, fuerza para que podamos obtener un poquito más.
Incluso las actividades iniciaron desde la mañana de este martes con protestas frente a restaurantes de comida rápida, llegando hasta dentro del aeropuerto de San Diego, donde se pelea por un mejor sueldo para cajeros y maleteros.
La verdad, no recuerdo, pero siempre los aumentos han sido de 25 centavos, 20 centavos, 15 centavos.
Mientras, a la marcha por el centro de San Diego se unieron diversos grupos, una mayoría preocupados por cuestiones del medio ambiente, tal como la construcción de líneas transnacionales de petróleo en tierras de tribus nativas.
Estamos aquí, yo he ido a apoyar, yo y mi mamá fuimos para apoyarles, mantener su soberanía sobre su tierra.
Para otros, la cantidad de personas que han muerto a manos de agentes de la policía los motivó a participar.
We focus on the families because we have about 734 people killed.
Más de 730 civiles han muerto en el condado de San Diego desde hace varias décadas por agentes del orden, señaló esta activista. Son 700 familias que hasta ahora no han recibido justicia en sus casos, agregó. Por su parte, la calidad del aire y un mejor sistema de transporte público hizo que más se unieran.
Si tenemos mejor transporte público, tenemos menos carro, no dependemos del carro, entonces mejora la calidad del aire que está causando tantas enfermedades en nuestras comunidades.
La marcha finalizó frente al Colegio Comunitario City, donde se contemplaba que diversos líderes religiosos fueran arrestados por desobediencia civil. Sin embargo, la policía decidió que no había razón necesaria para detener a nadie y la idea se abandonó. El evento culminó sin mayor percance. Y conforme pase el tiempo y se definan mejor las políticas de la nueva administración, activistas por toda la nación continuarán pendientes para seguir precisamente manifestándose y presionando los puntos a favor de su lucha. Es lo que tenemos desde el centro de San Diego. De regreso al estudio.
Hundreds of people rallied in San Diego today as part of a national day of protest for workers' rights. They want the federal minimum wage to go up to $15 an hour. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen has been following some of the protesters as they march through downtown San Diego. Andrew?
Hi, Ebony. Well, right now we're at the intersection of Park Boulevard and Broadway. As you can see, there are hundreds of people here marching. This march was originally part of the Fight for 15 movement, which started as a movement run by fast food workers in New York State fighting for a $15 minimum wage. This march, however, is about far more than just a minimum wage. In California, we already have a minimum wage law that's going to be moving up toward $15 an hour by 2022. But a lot of the signs here are touching on issues of economic justice, unions' rights, workers' rights, environmental justice. We've heard talk about the Dakota Access Pipeline. Also, social justice issues. We've heard Black Lives Matter. We've heard the name mentioned of Alfred Alongo. That's the unarmed black man who was shot and killed by an El Cajon police officer. This march tonight is about far more than just minimum wage. It's about building a whole movement and sustaining that movement under President Donald Trump. I think a lot of people here are really worried about the next 2 and 4 years under a Republican Congress and a Republican president. They see a lot of these issues of social, economic, and environmental justice as going to be very difficult to fight for, and they're getting ready for that fight under President Donald Trump. Reporting from downtown San Diego, Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
Thanks, Andrew. There have been dozens of arrests at similar protests around the country. 40 people, in fact, were arrested in Los Angeles when they blocked a downtown intersection.
Right now, a crowd is gathering downtown, protesting a number of issues, including the Dakota Access Pipeline. Many in North Dakota are demonstrating against the oil pipeline that may threaten, they say, drinking water and cultural sites on an Indian reservation. People are also protesting for higher minimum wage. We told you about that just a while ago in this newscast, part of a nationwide movement going on today.
Also, many San Diegans were part of that movement to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Workers and the supporters demonstrated at a McDonald's in Barrio Logan today and later at Lindbergh Field. They're calling for a $15 an hour minimum wage because they say it's not enough money for the high cost to live in San Diego. Currently, the minimum wage in our city is $10.50, but it will go up by $1 in January.
Considering the fact that I do have things such as rent and bills, yeah, you know, $10.50 would be okay if I didn't have those. Unfortunately, I do.
The disparity between what the CEO gets and what the workers get is phenomenal.
McDonald's takes seriously our role in helping strengthen communities as we and our franchisees separately employ hundreds of thousands of people, providing many with their very first job. Over 20 cities participated in the protest today.
What started as a protest over the minimum wage is growing. Now several groups downtown airing their grievances. 10 News reporter Emily Thode is with them live. Emily, who are these groups that are down there?
So we have basically 5 different groups. I want to tell you and set the stage. We are right now standing in the middle of the street. We're on the intersection of 5th and Market right now. Police have stopped stop traffic. So this started out as a minimum wage protest, but the union got several other groups together. So we have climate justice, we have people against the pipeline, we have clean water people, we have racial justice people, we have many groups who have come here together to make a louder voice, so to speak, for, they say they're all on the same team. So this is growing, and we're meandering through San Diego right now. We'll walk a few blocks and then we'll stop, and then they'll change the chant. So it might be one for workers' rights to increase minimum wage, and then we'll go a few blocks, and then they might change it to Black Lives Matter. So they're trying to hit each different topic as they move on down through the streets of San Diego, and it looks like we're getting ready to move on. Once again, we're going to have a complete wrap of this on 10 News at 7 and on 10 News at 11. I'm live in downtown San Diego. Emily Thode, back to you.
Emily, thank you. Quite a scene there. And now, before going down, workers disrupted travelers at Lindbergh Field.
You cannot enter the terminal. Please step out. You cannot enter the
At one point, the protesters refused the orders of Harbor Police. They actually went inside the terminal. Hundreds marched through the baggage claim area in Terminal 1 for just a few minutes. Dozens of fast food workers also stormed into a McDonald's in Barrio Logan this morning.
San Diegans are among the workers coast to coast fighting for 15 to raise the minimum wage. Several protests were held during the so-called Day of Disruption as demonstrators made it clear that they are not backing down on this issue. CBS News 8's Kelly Hessedal is live with our first look at a march downtown tonight. Kelly?
Yeah, and Barbara Lee, protesters left the federal building downtown and marched through the downtown area. Their final destination, this McDonald's here near 11th and Park behind me. Now they are fighting for higher wages, but tonight they're also rallying for other causes. Outside the federal building, protesters carried signs highlighting different causes: climate action, Black Lives Matter, and Fight for 15. It's the third rally of the day and what they call a day of disruption. This afternoon, airport workers and taxi drivers marched inside and outside Lindbergh Field.
I'm now making the top wage that they pay, and I'm still below poverty. There's more than enough revenue going through here for us to be making more than we are.
Travelers looked on. This man skeptical.
You should be paid for what you're worth, and I don't know what they're doing to make that value. So,
hey, McDonald's, you can't hide. We can see your greedy side.
This morning, fast food workers rallied in Barrio Logan outside of McDonald's.
People who work for a living should be able to earn enough to live in the city that they work in.
So far, the demonstrations have been peaceful. Reverend Beth Johnson says they stand united.
These workers are willing to risk arrest. I'm willing to risk arrest with them because we know the importance of standing together.
And at last check, those protesters were in the gas lamp area. Again, their final destination, 11th and Park, here at this McDonald's behind me. My colleague Richard Allen will have that part of the story all new at 11 p.m. Carlo?
The fight for 15 continues tonight with a nationwide effort to raise the minimum wage in the U.S.
Rallies are being held in most major cities. In Boston, airport workers held signs calling for wage increases, while 26 people in New York were arrested for blocking traffic during their demonstration. Fast food and O'Hare Airport workers also walked off the job today in Chicago.
And here in San Diego, it's been a similar sight.
Justice! You can see that a large protest growing this evening in downtown San Diego. More than 500 people with several causes came together, marching through downtown streets. Signs saying "Keep it in the ground" and "Water is life" were carried by people in solidarity with protests going on in North Dakota against that proposed oil pipeline. Others were protesting the killing of Alfredo Longo by El Cajon police back in September, and there were those in support of raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Receiving minimum wage, which is okay if you don't have rent, if you don't have bills, if you don't have basic necessities, I guess, in order to sustain a comfortable lifestyle.
So this crowd paused at the intersection of Broadway and Park downtown for about 15 minutes, bringing car, bus, and trolley traffic to a halt. They did end at 11th and Park at about 7:30 tonight.
Earlier today, fast food employees, along with workers in several other fields and even state leaders, are standing together fighting for the minimum wage. Carlos Correa has more.
There are more police officers at the San Diego International Airport than usual. as protesters chant for change.
Like everybody else, we have to live. Right now, we can't do that.
Elton Pendleton has worked at the airport for close to 4 years. He says he is barely making ends meet because of his low salary.
A lot of us are still on assistance from the state, and that's deplorable. We need to be brought up to the times so we can feed our families and afford to live.
Many workers in San Diego are joining the national fight to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. It's a battle that started back in 2012 when fast food workers across the nation walked off the job, demanding more pay and the right to form a union.
The cost of food and water and all that, that's something you can control. The cost of how much your labor is and how much your rent is, those are things that are very hard to control. And that's why we're trying to get attention on the subject.
Some economists say raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour is a bad idea. Paying employees more, they say, could end up costing jobs and business.
It reduces the profits for the companies, and then they find other ways to operate or they close down.
Earlier this year, California passed a bill to gradually boost the state's minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2022. It's a plan that passed both the Assembly and Senate.
I just hope that people will come to their senses, and instead of helping the poor in this way, it's true that you can't really live well with a salary of $10 an hour, but there are other ways to help.
Carlos Correa, CW6 News.
More than 60 rallies in major cities reportedly got out of hand, but events here have been mostly peaceful, and so far no arrests have been reported.
If we don't get it, shut it down.
Hundreds of upset San Diegans took to the streets in protest. What's unusual, they were from different groups protesting different agendas, but they marched united and chanted as one. 10 News reporter Emily Thode has been with the protesters all night long and is live downtown to explain how it came about. Emily.
So the protest ended here at this McDonald's. It's right next to City College. One of the issues, they are demanding a $15 an hour minimum wage increase, but that's just the start of it. Hundreds of people from all walks of life held signs and chanted as they meandered through downtown San Diego. The mighty, mighty workers. The mighty, mighty workers. Actually, they chanted a lot of different things. Because there were several different groups with different issues, such as increasing the minimum wage to $15.
If we don't get it, shut it down.
Immigrant rights, racial justice, stopping the North Dakota pipeline.
So us coming together is saying, look, we are the people. There is one race, the human race, and we are all impacted by these issues.
Teresa Johnson is one of the protesters who took part in this die-in in the middle of a downtown San Diego street, representing Black and Latinos killed by law enforcement. Johnson happily lending her voice to the other causes as well.
We're actually all more alike than we actually are different. And society has tried to divide us through racial division when we are all dealing with the same oppression and the same struggle, but just in different colors and in different aspects. We
So from what I saw of the protesters, it was extremely peaceful. There were children, the elderly all walking together. I did put in a call to police to find out if there were any arrests. So far, I have not heard back. I'm live in downtown San Diego. Emily Thode.